Welcome to Group 8's Leadership Theory Project on Leadership Style. We'd like to begin with some fundamental definitions to facilitate our exploration of concepts to be discussed throughout the presentation. So where should we begin? Well, let's start with the definition of leadership since that's the overarching theme of these projects. Our textbook, Organizational Behavior, 15th edition by Robbins and Judge states that leadership is defined as the ability to influence a group toward the achievement of a vision or set of goals. Well, that's a nice definition, but how else might we define leadership? The 6th century BC Chinese poet and philosopher Lao Tzu stated a leader is best when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, his aim fulfilled, others will say, "We did it ourselves." Furthermore, Harry Truman, 33rd President of the United States of America, famously claimed that leadership is the art of getting someone else to do something you want done because he wants to do it.
So, chapter 12 of our textbook begins looking at leadership through the lens of traits and behavior in order to help us better identify what makes a successful leader, instead of focusing solely on the traits and behavior of leaders. However, our topic considers situational influences, along with leadership style, to determine best how leaders should act.
Michael A. Roberto, DBA, Professor of Management and Director of the for Program Innovation at Bryant University, brings us these questions in respect to leadership style and situational influences. Firstly, to what extent is a leadership approach or the choices of a particular type of leader contingent on a situation? Secondly, if situational dependency matters, what is the approach contingent upon? And thirdly, what aspects of the situation or context matters most? These questions speak upon some very specific aspects of our topic. But put more simply, we might ask firstly, can leaders adapt different approaches to different situations? And secondly, to what extent is leadership style flexible?
Returning to our text, we find a few approaches that attempt to address these questions of style and context. They are the Fiedler model, situational theory, path goal theory, and the leadership participation model. Specifically, our group will focus on the Fiedler contingency model. In the 1970s, Fred Fiedler developed the first comprehensive contingency model for leadership. The Fiedler contingency model proposes that effective group performance depends on the proper match between the leader's style and the degree to which the situation gives the leader control.
Fiedler devised the least preferred coworker questionnaire to uncover an individual's leadership style by measuring whether a person is task-oriented or relationship-oriented. So let's define the difference between these two. Task-oriented individuals are primarily interested in productivity, while relationship-oriented individuals are primarily motivated by developing interpersonal relationships. The LPC questionnaire asks respondents to think of all the coworkers they have ever had and describe the one that they least enjoyed working with, and rating that person on a scale of 1 to 8 for each of 16 sets of contrasting adjectives. Examples of these adjectives used include pleasant and unpleasant, efficient and inefficient, open and guarded, supportive and hostile. The questionnaire may at first look like it's geared toward evaluating the least preferred coworker, but it is actually evaluating the individual that's filling out the questionnaire.
One of Fiedler's fundamental assumptions is that an individual's leadership style is fixed. He felt that if a situation requires a task-oriented leader and a person in the leadership position is a relationship-oriented leader, either the situation has to be changed or the leader has to be replaced in order to maximize the highest level of productivity. Leadership style impacts more than just entry-level employees. Most commonly affected are practicing managers. These managers will use leadership style to assess the effectiveness of their leadership on those they manage. If they find that their leadership style is not yielding the results the company wishes to obtain, they can alter their style to better fit the company's goals. Upper level management also uses leadership style to determine if the company's supervisors are guiding their employees in a productive manner. If upper management sees that a supervisor is acting in a more task-oriented style rather than the desired people-oriented style, the company can present the supervisor with a list of skills they need to improve in order to make the company more profitable.
The style approach theory is beneficial for students because it can aid them in selecting a professor that fits their learning behavior. Say, for example, if the student does better in a learning environment that is structured by organized tasks, then the student will want a professor that has a detailed syllabus with all required assignments and dates that are due. The professor may also have well organized notes that the student will appreciate as well. But if the student does better in an interactive learning environment, then the student will want to seek out a professor that encourages class participation and the lectures are not so structured. For managers, this style is beneficial in aiding with new hiring of employees. For example, if the manager's leadership style is task-oriented, then he or she is going to want subordinates that are task-oriented as well, so the continuity of the workplace is not altered. On the flip side, this approach is beneficial for employees' understanding of his or her manager's leadership style and whether or not the employee's work behavior will match. And if the employee feels he or she will not be a good match, then the employee can try to speak with management about being placed with a manager that he or she can match with on a leadership behavior level.
A recent article found in the Houston Chronicle called Leadership Theory versus Leadership Style help us better understand how the style approach leadership plays an important role in our everyday lives. For example, it reminds students to have a focus on the objective, in this case an A in a class, and then subdivide his or her behavior accordingly. This style approach can help employees reach out for feedback about their performance from his or her employer, as well as his coworkers. Finally, parents as well as children can have a task and relationship-oriented behavior to one another that is helping each other but accomplishing one mutual goal.